Welcome to the Fire Takes podcast. It's Tim and Gwen here. We got some good stories for you, a couple of updates on our life. We've been busy. I would say our recording schedule has been a little light. Yeah, erratic. Erratic's a good word. We've been doing a lot of fun summer stuff. And then yesterday we started finally, after years late to the party, we started watching Ted Lasso. So that's another thing that's going to take some time.
Worth every second of the hype so far.
Yeah, right?
I have friends who told me that they are jealous that I get to watch it for the first time. So
yeah. And to be fair, Gwen also has that privilege for Game of Thrones, and she's not taking that up either. So,
oh, weird. It's almost like one of these shows is totally worth watching, and the other one
has
not so much.
7 wonderful seasons.
And
an 8th season.
7 wonderful seasons and...
and smoking the reefer.
Yeah, we've also had to work around some injuries. I messed up my back somehow, so that made sitting and standing pretty difficult.
Existing.
So. Huh?
Just existing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true, yeah. Just existing in general was full of pain and sorrow. And angstiness because I was literally just conked out on the couch and couldn't do anything. And, sitting and standing are kind of fundamental states of being for lots of people and office workers specifically. So Podcasters, yeah. It was not fun to sit for a while there. But slowly working on mending, and hopefully my sciatic nerve will behave and be nice to me again. Because... I do not do well being an invalid.
No, you don't. But I do have a couple of stories here to read. One, I am super curious on just your take, so let's dive into that one first. This one is from the subreddit r/Fire, and the poster says, "I thought FIRE used to be about resourcefulness, not just high incomes." He says, "It feels like every post now is from a software engineer making $400,000 a year, saving half, and even aiming for $10 million by 35. And that's cool for them. Seriously, no hate. If you can do that, more power to you. But doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of your ability not to rely on outside sources? I thought FIRE was always about being resourceful, learning to do things yourself, fixing your car instead of buying a new one, rebuilding an engine, replacing your AC or your roof, being handy, finding freedom by spending less because you're capable, not just because you make a lot. Now it feels like the conversation is mostly about getting rich enough to pay people to do all these things in retirement, which feels kind of backwards. Like, those are the exact skills that could have saved you thousands and helped you get to FIRE faster, especially if you're not in tech or making 6 figures. I get that not everyone wants to DIY, but I think people underestimate the more practical side of FIRE, the kind that doesn't rely on massive income, and you can make $65K a year and be super resourceful and still be able to save a large percentage of your income.
Oh boy, do I have thoughts on this.
Oh, do you? I thought you might.
I have so many thoughts. Literally, this could have been written circa 2016.
Really?
I think people have always associated FIRE with high incomes. Now, sometimes, back in the old days, they didn't keep those high incomes for long because, they saved enough for them and they got out. Look at Mr. Money Mustache. He retired at 30. He did not have $10 million,
Right.
So it's always been a common gripe of the FIRE movement. This is only for higher income earners. You have to be a married couple. It's one's a software engineer, FIRE has always had a thread of resourcefulness. There certainly was a large component at one time of DIY. You had a bunch of people who worked on houses, were very handy, and some people can do that, and that is one avenue to FIRE. I worked a lot on my old car because I was in the super DIY resourcefulness, and also I hated getting ripped off the car shop because that just happened every single time. Because I am a woman. So it was easier for me to replace my AC differential flap thingamajig in my dashboard than take it in and get raked over the coals for it. But not everybody has a garage or tools to rebuild an engine or replace your AC or the ability to get up on a roof and replace it, you know?
Sure.
Not everybody has handy gene in them. And take 3, I think there's also been a lot of people who have always tried to retire faster by spending less. And again, that is definitely one way that you can do that. But I feel like more recently in the last 5 years or so, there's been a shift that says, hey, listen, your time is best spent doing what earns you the most money and brings you the most joy. And it's okay to spend money on things that you don't want to do or that your time is spent better on doing something else.
Yeah, I think that I kind of came into this as the conversation was shifting more towards what you just said there, where it is that fire is about buying your time back in all, in all manners, in all stages. It is interesting that from what I know, I haven't read a ton of stuff from Mr. Money Mustache, but what I have read, it's all about. Yeah, I see where this Redditor gets his take, right? It because it is about being resourceful. It is about being DIY, and it is, and it's also about like lowering your consumption, right? Just not only lowering your consumption to be cheap, but lowering your consumption because it's the ethical thing to do in our current society, right?
Yeah, not idling your car for half
Sure.
an hour, waiting in the car line, riding your bike if you have rideable infrastructure around you that's safe to do so. Like that is definitely the main message of Mr. Money Mustache's blog. And saving money and retiring early is a happy byproduct of underconsumption.
Yeah. And it is tough. So I sometimes struggle with loosening the purse strings and paying people to fix things that I think I can with maybe a Google, and so like, and I
Just give it a
don't
Google.
Yeah, I don't hate that about myself, right? Like I do enjoy trying to be resourceful and fixing things when I can, when it makes sense.
On the other hand, how much do you love doing oil changes on your car?
Right? Yeah. Well, I don't.
You
But
hate doing oil changes.
if I had a huge hole in my garage, like they have at the oil change place where you just like drive over it and then you just like stand up and you go twist, 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 and then all the oil drains out, like 100% I would change my oil. But I don't have a subterranean oil change room in my house.
Which is probably better for both of us because,
Yeah.
like, can you imagine having a giant pit in our garage? Like, we would fall into that thing. We would put the car in there when we weren't paying attention. Like, having a pit in our garage just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, 100%. We would fall in the pit. But, I mean, all that to say, yeah, I don't know. Do you think that there's a lot of people who feel wayward in the fire community that are out there that feel left behind because the fire community has shifted to, hey, let's live your life. We don't need to retire. Maybe we don't need to retire at 30 if we can just use some of the concepts of fire to improve our life today and still retire early, but maybe not like I say, 30.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's people out there who are like, oh, I can't spend $500 to go to economy. That's too much.
Yeah.
And it's like, is it though? Like, what percentage of your net worth is that? Like
Right.
0.0001%?
Right.
So there is a time and a place to be resourceful, but the fire community loves to blur that line with being cheap. Love a former cheap fire person.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Speaking from a place of love. Speaking from a place of experience. Right. Let's see any interesting comments here. Yeah, Fire in this sub has shifted from minimizing consumption, focusing on risk management, and exploring tax planning to look at my high income. Please do math for me. There's also an annoying amount of people with pseudo advertisements going for things like crypto and fan sites. I roll. Yeah.
That said, it's still true that the guy taking home $75,000 a year and investing $35,000 per year for 19 years will be financially free after those 19 years, whereas the guy taking home $175,000 a year and investing $35,000 a year for 37 years won't be financially free until after those 37 years.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'll ask you this. Do you think that getting spending under control was the main message that came from Pete? Because he didn't come up with the 4% rule, right? Mm-mm. He was just, with the 4% rule, if you make your spending, your outlay small enough, then this becomes like super achievable, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was it. Just doing the math and being like, hey, listen, this is the super easy math for retirement. If you cut your spending down, then your time to retirement goes down. If you are spending a lot of money, you're going to be working for a while. That was the message that came clearest to the masses.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what got him his following.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of have that fire conversation. It seems like we've been doing a lot of relationship stuff, and that's a lot of fun, and there's a lot more spice there. But it's good to check it back in, dance with the one who brought us.
Yeah, but you know what? Also, one more thought on that is that you and I together earn more money than I ever thought I would have a household income of.
Sure.
Like I did not ever think that we would, like, I would be with somebody and that I would be making this much money and that together we'd be making this much money. Mm-hmm. And I also didn't think that I would ever be in a household where we spend as much money as we do either.
Yeah.
But it's all relative. And if you look at the amount that we are saving, like just dollars, it is way more than I ever thought I would be able to save. So it all kind of evens out in the wash, you know?
Yeah.
Like our net worth is higher than I ever planned on having before I retired. But at our current consumption rate, it's we probably need a little bit more.
Right. Or, I mean...
certainly just a little bit more accessible before retirement age.
Yeah. And, I mean, or we can develop our consumption rate to be lower, but kind of right now we're enjoying life.
We could, but I really enjoy not having to, like, track sales at the grocery store and, like, freak out over the price of cheese.
Yeah. It's true.
I like buying cheese.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The truth is, it was down in there.
Cheese is Gouda.
This is Gouda. Chris. All right. For our next story. This is Best of Redditor Updates. It is called Sister-in-Law Expressed That I Don't Deserve Our New House. Now my husband's family is melting down. Oh, this is all pretty recent. Original post from June 7th of 2025.
Trigger warnings, enmeshment, and entitlement.
Wow.
Mood spoilers. Weird. Kind of disturbing.
Thanks for the warnings. My husband, 38 male, and I, 33 female, just bought our first house. My husband has a pretty high-paying job. I work and I make a decent salary, but our budget to buy our house was definitely influenced more by his earnings. We had his family over last week. Generally, I love his parents. They've always been really good to me, and they're fun. I've not spent as much time with his sister outside of holiday gatherings. But we do have her son, my husband's nephew, stay with us for a week over the summer the last few years. So I know him well too and love him. So everyone mentioned above comes over and we show them around the house. At one point, I'm showing sister-in-law a kitchenette in the basement, and I say something like, "It's great that our house has this space now, so if you want to visit us, you'll have basically a separate apartment." And she goes, "Our? Is it also your house?"
This is so weird.
I'm immediately confused, but also, I guess she could have assumed my husband bought it on his own. I said, "Yeah, we bought it together." You know, husband and wife stuff. And she goes, "Do you think you deserve to own half of this house?" I don't know. I just think that's crazy. I was shocked. She spells with 4 O's. And I mostly panicked, said, "Well, I do, yeah," and fled the basement. I immediately told my husband away from his family, and he in turn immediately went to talk to his sister. I went to hang out with his parents and didn't say anything to them, but then we heard shouting outside. My husband and his sister were yelling at each other. I know people are different with their siblings, but I've never really heard him yell before. I could hear him tell her that we don't have a prenup, and she called him an idiot. I had to tell his parents what was going on. They went and intervened and left pretty quickly with his sister and nephew, who didn't hear any of this through the magic of video games, I think. His mom said sorry to me on the way out. I did touch base with my husband, and he was livid, like way more angry than I would have expected. He told me that before we got married, his sister was the beneficiary of his life insurance, and he thought she was angry over essentially being removed from all his assets. But we've been married 3 years.
Wow.
She apparently had texted him about being added on to the house paperwork a few weeks ago during the buying process, and he just ignored her.
Wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
In the entitled?
His parents have reached out to me and have been very sweet and apologetic, but they really want to fix things and have asked if I'll talk to sister-in-law. I'm trying to step away from it and just say it's now between my husband and his sister. Is that fair? Of course, I'm a bit hurt by her saying that, but at the end of the day, if she has problems with how he's handling his assets, that's between the two of them, right? I feel really bad because his family has always been so sweet, and I really love his nephew. So I also want things to be fixed.
Wow.
Edit. Wow, this blew up a bit. I will make an update. We have plans to chat about it today and speak with his parents and figure out how we want to go forward. I agreed with essentially all of you, and I'm not planning to discuss it with her until she apologizes. And to answer some common questions, nephew's dad is not and has not been in the picture for a long time. Sister-in-law has been in and out of relationships with not the best types of dudes. She is younger, and there's no other siblings. Yes, there's been a pattern of her getting more help from their parents, but it's because she really needs it with being a single mom, and my husband has always been pretty independent. I promise I don't tell every person on the street about our lack of a prenup.
I mean,
my husband did come into the marriage with a lot of assets, so I think when his friends and family expressed curiosity about a prenup, it was coming from a place of concern, care for him, and I love that, so it felt appropriate to share how we made that decision. No one ever pushed back. I never talked to his sister about it, and I think she didn't know, but my husband sort of yelled it at her in anger in a "we don't have a prenup" way.
we don't even have a prenup.
Sorry, yes, that is the correct emphasis. We are planning on kids, but could still keep up with what we currently do for nephew, even if we did. And he just became an official teenager, so the college fund is close to complete at this stage. We don't add much money to it anymore. It's just accruing. Oh, yeah. So what do you think?
I think that sister-in-law is Delulu.
Completely, yes. This is some crazy, like, it was weird until she wanted to be added to the deed when he was buying a house with his wife.
Only one person is doing the deed with the husband.
Do you got to do the deed to be on the deed?
Yeah.
Wow.
But like and they're not even newlyweds. They've been married
Yeah,
for
they've been married
3
3
years.
Right.
Like just the audacity.
Yeah. It's audacious. Now, we do talk about the prenup, and we have come out as pro prenup. I think I have a whole episode's worth of prenup stories that I want to talk about, but like one of the things that I've seen talked about is statistically having a prenup decreases your chance of getting divorced, like significantly.
Probably because it shows that you can have rational, reasonable conversations with your partner.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's a hard conversation that you have before the wedding, right? And then if that goes poorly, like probably a lot of those not divorced couples probably break it off during that conversation, right? So like all that to say, sure, I wish that OP and her husband would have had that conversation and would have had a prenup. And then like it's not his sister's business. Like she
Yes.
doesn't get to say that he needs a prenup.
None of
like,
her beeswax.
Yeah, but like still, I like to encourage people to really consider it and have that conversation whenever you are like peak love. Because if you can't have that conversation at that moment, you're going to have really tough money conversations in the future.
You are for sure not going to have good conversations when you are mad, angry, and upset.
Yeah. And then to be angry about getting moved off of the life insurance, like he's married, right? Like
That's what
that's
happens.
kind of a thing that happens whenever people get married, which is why you don't like set up your life to be completely dependent on other people, right? Like you make better decisions, right?
Yeah, like my best friend was my beneficiary before we got married, and you don't see her throwing a tantrum over it being changed to you.
Yeah. Well, we do have a relevant comment. Was she planning on to unalive your husband? That's just weird. I would let the husband deal with this. And OP says, "Oh gosh, no." She sounds so cute and Midwestern.
Oh gosh, no.
I don't think so. I think she was just on a lot of his assets. I know we definitely have a college fund for her nephew that my husband has had open since the kid was born. So, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like this is literally the sister biting the hand that is helping her nephew have a better life.
Do you think that this is the same thing that causes people to go crazy whenever there's a estate matter, right? Like there's money to be had in an estate, and is it just money makes people that are bad with money go nuts?
I mean, yeah, I don't think that sister-in-law has shown that she has a great track record of decision making. In the past, and I think that she was probably counting on that.
Yeah.
And probably doesn't like the fact that the wife's intruding on her grand designs of being able to live a cushy life with money that she didn't make.
Yeah. All right. We do have an update, which is the joy of Best of Redditor updates from 3 days later, June 10th, 2025. Holy shit, y'all. I wasn't expecting that much feedback, but I'm super grateful. It was really affirming and validating to read a lot of these comments, and a bit humbling too. This recent move did move us a little bit out of town, so I'm still close to my social circle, but didn't immediately have someone to vent to, and y'all were really helpful in that way. To update, she was secretly planning his murder to get the life insurance money. Oh, no, not really.
Got him.
I love OP. After talking a bunch with both my husband and his parents, we figured out a few things. He didn't tell her that he's replaced her as the beneficiary on everything because he assumed she would know that. Fair.
Yeah.
She had texted him during the home purchase, "Hey, do you need my signature on anything for this new house?" And he had messaged her back, "No?" 3 question marks. She then essentially asked if the house was an asset set up like his life insurance. And he told her that everything is set up fine and that I'm on all the paperwork. And she's responded, "Okay!" Exclamation point, smiley face. So I do think part of this is her truly not knowing how marriage is supposed to work. And she seems to have expected there wouldn't be any change. I found out she also mentioned this with her parents, her main concern being that if something happened to my husband, I wouldn't help her son like we've been doing as a couple. Mother-in-law and father-in-law say they told her not to worry and that I love your nephew, but that was what was going on behind the scenes before all this. Mother-in-law and father-in-law also admitted that they may have unintentionally encouraged this because they've always really encouraged their kids to support each other. But due to the various dynamics at play, that ends up being is pressure on my husband and a sort of "your brother will always be there for you" message to his sister. This was particularly strong in the last few years before I met and married him because his parents thought he was planning to be a lifelong bachelor. They are not wrong on this. He definitely had that mindset at the time. And so then he and his sister really were, in their eyes, each other's lifelong person. So the last few years, there has been this level of fallout I wasn't even aware of due to that. I also learned sister-in-law is in not a great financial situation, and due to past issues, the whole family essentially refuses to give her cash, but will do things like buy groceries or pay a phone bill. So she's been struggling and I think feeling a little desperate and jealous. Oh, of course, none of this is an excuse, and I'm not speaking to her until I get an apology. My husband has also said he needs at least a week or 2 before he speaks to her, but he does plan to. His parents are totally in agreement and understand. They're going to tell her that we talked about the dynamics at play and that she needs to acknowledge what is going on here and take accountability for her part in it. So hopefully that will kickstart things in the right direction. Being quote-unquote too understanding and too flexible has been a difficulty for me for a long time. Having feedback about how truly fucked up that situation was really helpful for me. So thank you. For me, there's a fine line between being unbothered and being a doormat. And I'm definitely working on differentiating those. Wow.
I mean, it's... Wow.
Yeah.
It's good that the in-laws recognize that they've kind of encouraged this toxic mindset.
Yeah.
And that they actually took accountability for that instead of being like, "What are you talking about? Of course we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, why? She took it to this level. It's all her fault." So, like, it's good that they...
I'd never really heard that term, enmeshment.
Well, you more often see it with, like, mothers and sons. Where the mother treats her son like a partner.
Yeah. A lack of clear emotional boundaries between individuals, often within a family, where individuals are overly involved in each other's lives and emotions. Okay, so I'm familiar with the concept of enmeshment, just not the word. But yeah. Oof, yeah. That's, I don't know. It's weird.
But, like, also, can we just talk about the fact that sister-in-law is like, "Well, I'm afraid that your wife wouldn't take care of us like you have been." Well, yeah. OP doesn't earn as much money as husband.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly that would have to change.
Yeah.
I don't see how that is a new concept.
The vibe I get is that probably with like life insurance and other assets that OP would be fine if her husband financially, right?
Yeah.
I do think that there is something to be said for the assurances that she loves the nephew, she's going to take care of him. Plus, it's a 529, like it's locked away. It's not like even if she did turn crazy and greedy when her husband died.
I think there's more assistance beyond that.
Yeah, right. Or they certainly could be.
But also, sister-in-law is in a not great financial situation, and due to past issues, the whole family essentially refuses to give her cash.
Yeah.
But we'll do things like groceries or pay. that sounds like she
Yeah,
is
there's some drugs or something.
drugs
in
or
the past.
gambling or alcoholism, like something is going on where she will put other priorities ahead of her responsibilities.
Yep. No, it's a tough situation, and it sounds like maybe the parents, the mother-in-law and the father-in-law, probably kind of stepped in it there,
Yeah.
and may have not done a great job. So it's a warning. Definitely.
Warning.
Do not strangely emotionally link your children as life partners.
But like, say that you were helping out your sister.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that your sister would be like, half that house mine.
Yeah.
She would be like, no, that's you and your wife. 'Cause that's how things go.
Yeah. Well, that could go back to drugs too, right? It's like, like just the mindset of, oh, cool. Like someday I'll have money to do more crack, right? It's like,
Yikes.
I don't know, but like maybe we're going out on a limb there, making assumptions on
Yeah.
OP's sister-in-law. Well, once again, OP, she just sounds like a sweet little Midwestern,
Right?
like, oh gosh, no, my sister-in-law wouldn't kill. And then the joke, like that was,
This is all very unhealthy and it does not sound remotely finished. It sounds as if she is expecting y'all to basically be the other parents to her child. What's next? Asking you to split college tuition? Buy him a car? These things all need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
I am close with my family and help with their children, but it is never expected. It's my choice to do so. Girl, get this shit sorted out. It's going to keep coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
Opie says, haha, we are on track to pay for his college tuition. Emoji with the sweat icon. But really, I just hope this is going to be clearly boundaried moving forward. But it felt pretty boundaried even before this. Before this happened, my husband and I agreed that things we do for him are things we offer, not things that are asked for. We even has this rule with him. He can tell us what he likes and what he's into, and we might get him stuff, especially when he stays with us. But he's not going to approach us with, can you get me XYZ type talk.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting boundary. It's good to try to.
How often is nephew staying with them?
Well, I think it just
why?
said like a week in the summer. Like, it was pretty standard
Yeah.
nephew stuff.
Well, the mood warning was accurate.
Yeah,
That was weird and kind of disturbing.
it was. Yeah, it was weird. Our last story is from the subreddit AITAH. Parents dropped the bombshell. They don't have anything saved for me for college because, quote unquote, student loans make you accountable. AITAH for losing my shit. My father is a surgeon and my mother is an attorney. I'm a good student, but not perfect. Mostly A's with some B's. My graduating GPA, when I finish next year, will be around 3.76 to 3.8. My parents told me they banked on me getting a full ride like they did and refused to pay for my education going forward because they already did so from grades elementary to high school. I don't think my grades or GPA are horrible, but I know amongst my class I'm nowhere near a top student, solid middle of the pack. I don't know what I'm posting this for, maybe to seek validation or get some laughs.
So OP doesn't know how to use a period, but does use the word amongst. So that's fun.
Amongst his peers. That's funny. Pretty sure I am cooked because no way I would qualify for anything with my parents' income. I know many top schools have great needs-based financial services, but my parents are far above that threshold. I'm cooked, eh? Maybe I should have begged more instead of yelling. Update. 3.76 is my non-weighted GPA. Even with my AP classes, I'm still middle of the pack. Many kids in my school have never gotten below an A. I will admit I'm not a perfect student. I'm an average student. I've never gotten anything below a B. But in my world, that in itself is tantamount to failing. As for the assumption they would be paying for my education, that is just generally how it's done in our circle. Parents paid for undergrad and grad becomes your responsibility. College is hyper competitive now. One of my friends who graduated 2 years early barely got much of anything. I do have a job. It is part-time, but some things don't come as easy as others. I've always been great at math, chemistry, and physics, but the other stuff has always been hard on me and generally take me longer to accomplish.
Yeah, we can tell.
Yeah. No, this is pretty tough. I know I am mediocre. I am far from as brilliant as my parents, but I lost my cool and told them off because I worked hard for my GPA, and all I wanted was to hear them say good job, not shit on because I could have been better. I did not ask to go to such a high-end schools. I begged to go to public school. Probably would have fit in better. I don't belong in the school I'm in. I'll be fine. I have to be able to save all the money I ever earned while working, and things will be okay. I still have a whole year to figure stuff out. Wow.
Yeah.
This is an interesting situation. It's an interesting take on the college. Like, do you pay for your kid's college question?
Well, and this is where setting clear expectations comes really in handy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the parents could have avoided this entirely had they been like, hey, we'll pay for your private education up through high school, but you're on your own for college.
Right.
We expect you to do well and get a full ride scholarship like we did. Now, there's another conversation entirely on whether or not that's a reasonable path forward. They could have just as easily sent him to a public school and paid for his college and still probably came out ahead because some private schools can be really expensive.
Yeah.
But like a 3.76 is not bad.
Yeah. No, it sounds like he's a good student. He'd be a great student in a public school, right? Like he's in this college prep private school that's probably hugely demanding. Maybe it's not a great fit for him. And it's probably not doing great things for his confidence either. Because, like I say, he's probably completely competent, but he's not a surgeon father, attorney mother, kids that he's surrounded with every day. Like that's not where his talents lie.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he wants to do STEM stuff, it says he's great at math, chemistry, physics, like just go to friggin' public school, go to a state school, and come out with an engineering degree.
Or a math degree.
You'll do fine.
Yeah. Go be an actuary or an accountant,
But that's just not the path that's being presented to him, right?
Yeah. And it's just really hard because, he didn't ask his parents to pay for his elementary through high school education.
Yeah.
And it's standard in his circles, right?
Right.
Parents pay for undergrad, he pays for grad school.
Right. Probably a lot of his parents' social activities, right, is just doing stuff for this private school and private school parents.
Yep.
And, probably has less to do with the kid than the parents would like to admit.
Well, and I wonder, too, if he went around and asked some of his friends' parents, like, hey, you guys are paying for your college.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm on my own. I have to pay for mine. I have to figure it out by myself. I wonder what would happen if, like, that,
right.
like,
that
peer
started
pressure,
getting around to...
like, they are not going to pay for them despite being, really high-paid professions.
They're gonna let him go to a cardinal direction state school.
Can you imagine?
Could you imagine?
Oof, rough. However you succeed at life. Yeah. I mean, my parents told me that they weren't paying for college, but at least I had 2 years to figure it out, and I wasn't that surprised either. But also, my parents offered to pay for 2 years of community college if I wanted to stay and live at home, which I did not want to stay at home and live with them and go to the community college for 2 years. So I figured out how to pay for school on my own. And, I think OP could start investigating some scholarships.
Yeah. What are his parents' friends going to think whenever he ships off to the Air Force?
Oof. Can you imagine serving in the military to pay for school? Oof, rough.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I do agree. You kind of mentioned this, that like the end of his junior year was not the time to set the boundary or the standards for what his expectations and support going forward was.
Yeah, it's a perfectly natural assumption, and probably OP could have handled that better by not losing his shit.
Yep. A comment here. You could tell your parents you plan to start an OnlyFans page to pay for college tuition.
Yeah.
First response. And we'll be sending the link to their coworkers
Ah.
with a detailed explanation as to why.
Oh, that's funny. Countdown is on. 2 months until this starts.
Yeah. Excellent suggestion. My only advice is don't make threats and you're not prepared to act on. If they call your bluff, they won't, but might. You need to be fully prepared to set up an OnlyFans profile. Begin vetting photographers. Be sure to have a good mix of sorts of skeezy ones, some you'd actually work with, and begin charging for content. It doesn't have to be especially explicit. Bathing suit shots are good to get started. But the point is, if you do this, you need to be prepared to actually go on OnlyFans.
I mean, solid advice. That's the other thing,
like,
though, too, is that college really has changed quite a bit, even in the 15, 20 years since we've been in college. How has it been that long?
Sorry.
But now loans are capped, and I doubt that they're going to co-sign for Parent Plus loans.
Yeah.
Or even if I don't even know if they can sign for enough of them to make a difference.
Yeah.
So it just feels like if you want your kid to get ahead, then like you really need to do as much as you can for them. Good luck, OP.
All right. Well, that was a fun couple of stories. Pretty kind of, I don't know, dark, but they weren't chipper.
Well, the mood warning was accurate.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Right.
Kind of disturbing.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys had fun anyway. We had fun recording. Always have fun talking to you guys. And we will be back in a couple of weeks for more.
Thanks for joining us. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Fire Takes podcast. Wanted to remind you that this is an entertainment podcast. Gwen and I, not financial planners, just opinionated. There are many ways to reach us if you just go to firetakespod.com, including email, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. You can hear more from Gwen at firymillennials.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye.